Alright, so in this video we are going to be talking about how to do sod and how Military Lawn Cuts does sod, because there are a ton of variables on how to install sod. But what you want to know is how to price it properly so you're not going under or going way too high. In this video, I am going to be showing you how Military Lawn Cuts quotes sod. We've done probably over 100 sod jobs over the last 4 years. Thousands and thousands of dollars worth of sod, and we just opened up our second location, so stay tuned in this video. We're going to dive all the way deep into the numbers. Here we go. Alright, weird angle here with the camera, but just bear with me here. The content should be good. So there are a lot of variables that you need to account for when quoting a sod job. Before we jump into the actual pricing of the numbers, it's important to understand what is actually involved in the job and what are the different tasks. So for our sod jobs, and this will fluctuate and vary, and I'll kind of touch in a little bit on why I'm prefacing it with that, but we need to flag the sprinkler heads and the irrigation system. So where we're located, they have irrigation sprinkler heads that run through the properties. It's really important to flag those so that way they don't get buried during the job. Now, number 2 is scraping and actually prepping the area that the sod is going to go down. Not all the times that you go out there that it's already going to be just dirt ready to be laid. There's going to be grass, weeds, some kind of growth there that you have to get up before you put the sod down to make sure that the soil, the new soil and the old soil, have a good foundation to grow and nice and healthy. All right. Now, number 3 is the actual installation process of the sod, and that's where you come out with the sod, lay them down, cut holes for the sprinkler heads to come up, and the irrigation valve covers, and all of that great stuff. And then number 4 is the disposal. So you will always have a disposal with a sod job. We always get a ton of dirt from sod jobs. It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of dirt, but we always have a truckload or 2 of disposal that we need to dispose of. So these are the 4 core services that you will be doing on a sod job. Now let's break them down for the price point and actually show you how we would price out a sod installation. All right, so I have broken down this pricing matrix down into 2 different categories. So we have budgeted hours, which is labor, and the actual physical materials, and I put and other. And the reason I did that is because you have your actual sod material plus like dumping fees and those weird things that you actually have to pay for. So what also would go over here is the if you are actually renting a sod cutter to actually like cut up the existing sod, but we didn't have to do that for this last sod job that we are using as an example. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, I posted it probably about a week ago. Literally the thumbnail shows a before and after sod job. Definitely want to go ahead and check that out. Highly recommend it. But let's dive back into these numbers here. So let's start off on the budgeted hours. So just so you guys know, we charge $80 an hour for our area and our services. Obviously, we're in profit mode now, so we're trying to get as much profit as possible. Obviously, we've been grinding for the last 4 years. It's time to make a little bit of some profit here, okay? So let's break, sorry, I'm dropping markers here. All right, so let's break this down. So what does flagging, how long does that take to flag the sprinkler heads, okay? Well, for us, it generally takes about 1 hour, okay? The reason for that is 30 minutes at the beginning. We go through each zone manually, and we just throw a flag where the irrigation valve covers are and the sprinkler heads, okay? And then at the end of the job, it's really important that we run the sprinkler system again to make sure that the sod is getting adequate water. Because if we go in there and we lay sod and we bury the sprinkler heads, it's not going to get water, it's going to die, and the customer is going to be super upset. So it's a 2-part component when flagging sprinkler heads. 30 minutes at the beginning of the job, that's the first thing you do. 30 minutes at the end of the job, that's the last thing you do right before you leave. Okay? Number 2 is pick up the equipment or material. So in this scenario, what we do a lot of the times is we don't rent sod cutters. We go out there with a combi system, rototiller on our steel equipment, and we just rip up any kind of existing grass and weeds that are there. That's all we do. We just go in there and rip it up and rake out all of the grass and green stuff that's in there, and then any kind of like top dirt that maybe came off, and in that way it'll get a good surface for a good dirt foundation for sod to lay down on top of it. So all you really need is like a rototiller or a combi system. You can rent a sod cutter if it's actually full healthy grass, but 95% of the time when we're doing a sod job, it's because it's 80% dirt anyway. We don't need a sod cutter. We just go out there and rip things up. All right. So from there, but we do have to pick up the sod materials. Now, generally speaking, 30 minutes out, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. That's an hour and a half. That's our rule of thumb. Our supplier is about 30 minutes away, right? 30 minutes there, 30 minutes in the getting actually loaded up, and then 30 minutes driving back to the property. So that's 1.5 budgeted hours for the pickup. Now, prepping does take a while. Generally, a good rule of thumb, even though 80% of it is dirt, what we have found is that prepping takes just as long as this actual sod install. The sod install is easy a lot of the times. It's like, oh, just lay it down and cut the holes. Like it's not that hard. It's not like rocket science. But prepping it and making sure that there's a really good weed-free, grass-free of roots foundation is the key to a successful sod job. So on this last job, we did a half front yard of 708 square feet. Okay, now we budgeted 8 hours for the prep. Now on this particular one, there was a lot of leaves. There was a little bit more cleanup on this one, but for this sod job, it was about 8 hours. I would say this is pretty standard if we're doing a front lawn. Again, even if it's a lot of dirt, 8 budget hours is good for the prep. Now, to actually install the sod, again, what we found is this generally double that, or not double that, but it's generally about the same that it takes to prep. But for 708 square feet, we budgeted 8 hours to actually install the sod. Again, it does go quicker. And I think it's because I'm a visual person. I see the sod going in. I'm like, wow, this is actually going pretty quick. But there are other things involved. You do have to cut out the sprinkler heads, any kind of valve covers. It's not as simple as, hey, just lay it all down and it'll be good. You want to stagger the sod. So if you have a piece, if you have a piece like this, you don't want to just go like that. What you want to do is you want to cut one in half and then have a stagger like this. So that way these lines here don't line up with them. Okay, that's the proper way to actually install sod. Now, the disposal. So we always have disposal on sod jobs. It's going to look like, oh, this is easy. We'll just lay it down. I'm telling you, we always pull numbers and numbers of bags of actual dirt off the property. It just always happens. So generally, it's for sure one full truckload of disposal. And what we do for that is to say our dumping area is 30 minutes out, 30 minutes in, 30 minutes back. So what is that? 1.5 budgeted hours. Plus the dump fee of $25. Okay, so we now have our budgeted hours here, okay? So I'm not actually going to add that up just yet here. So let's flip over to our material and other, okay? Now, what is this, right? So this is the actual material for the sod. So obviously we're doing sod. We need to buy the sod. So, and these aren't exact numbers. Again, if you want to go back and watch that video, you can probably see how much we spent for it. But it was roughly about $560 for 708 square feet of sod. Now, what we do, because we're landscapers and we always put an upcharge on material, is we don't actually charge the customer $560. What we do is we charge 1.5 times what we get it for because we're getting a contractor discount and all this other good stuff. So we want to make a little bit on that transaction too. So in this scenario, $560 times 1.5 is $840. This is what we would charge for the material of the sod, okay? Now, that again gives us a little bit of cushion. We get it at a more steeper discount rate. That should go to you as the landscaper. You shouldn't just give that to the customer per se. That should go to your bottom line profit, okay? Now, so we're at $840 for the sod. Now, for the dumping fee, what we do, because it's so small, it's $25, we just double it. We actually charge the customer double what that fee is because it is so small. So that gets us at $50. Now, if we all we have to do now is add everything up, and we'll be able to get the pricing for our sod. So 840 plus 50 equals $890. Okay, that is what we're charging in material and other category. Now let's go through and add up all of the budgeted hours. So 8 times 2 is 16 plus 3 plus that 1. So we are at 20 hours is what it's going to cost us. So if that was one guy, it would take him roughly 3 days to do it by himself. If that was a 2-man team, it would be roughly about a 10-hour day, but they could potentially, if they worked longer, do it in 1 day. Now, all we do is take 20 times, how much do we charge per hour for our services? $80 an hour. Okay, that gets us at $1,600 in labor. Now, then what we want to do is add our $1,600 in budgeted hours plus our material and other. Gets us to, let's see what we're working with here. Gets us to $2,490. So let me go ahead and actually show you guys what I'm doing here. So this plus $890 equals $2,490. This is what it will cost, and roughly did cost. These numbers aren't to the T exact. I think they're a little bit different. I think we charged like $2,350 on that job. But this is how we would come up with the numbers of how to actually quote a sod job. Now, what is going to fluctuate for you guys is the budgeted, or is the dollar per hour rate. Okay, I will tell you that this is on the higher end. People that are watching may put in the comments, that's so expensive for that job. Probably. But you know what? The customer paid for it and they didn't want to do it. They live in California. They bought it as a rental house. I don't even think nobody even lives there because, you know, I had to set up the sprinkler head. There's nothing in the house, like, at all. So, generally speaking, someone that's just starting out building their business, you probably, if you want to scale and grow very quickly, you're not going to be at $80 an hour. We weren't when we were first starting out. So I will tell you, at our Salina location, we are charging $65 per hour. Now, it is a little bit of a higher end town, so I believe that $65 per hour will still be a very competitive price that we will be able to scale and grow quickly. But this number right here will dictate how fast or how slow and profitable you grow. Guys, if this was helpful, let me get down here on one knee for you. I'm not sure if you guys can see me here. But if this was helpful, look, in the comments below, put your questions. This video was created because somebody put a question in the comments. If you have more questions on pricing, on how to do lawn care and landscaping stuff, this channel is for you guys to build a more successful business. If we get a lot of comments or questions on the same subject, I will do a video for that. See you guys next time.